Welcome to the Warrior Supercast. Now I forget how to do it. Welcome to the Warrior Supercast. This is the program where we keep you connected with what's happening in the Winton Woods City School District. We have here in the studio today Dr. Tamara Ragland, who is the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning for grades 7 through 12. We have one of the Winton Woods math teachers. We have Josh Amstutz. We also have a couple of the Winton Woods seniors here. We have Nate Dawson and Angeli Lorenz-Hart. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming into the studio today. Today, we want to talk about math because it's really important. But also because, Dr. Ragland, you have looked at some studies that realize that we need to work this in more, and we need to make sure people are more aware of how much time and we invest in making sure this is part of what our kids are learning. So let me start with you, and let's talk about what the district is focusing on.
So right now we are undergoing a major curriculum adoption in mathematics. So it is actually grades 6 through 12, which goes all the way down to our intermediate school building through high school. And so we are looking to reimagine how we teach mathematics in our district. We realize that we have some room for growth, and one of the easiest things we can do is to select a new curriculum. And so right now we are piloting, we're finishing up piloting Imagine Learning, and we will be transitioning to Amplify Desmos, both of which come highly rated and are evidence-based. And so we want to put our teachers or empower our teachers to have the best opportunity to provide great outcomes for our students when it comes to mathematics through a curriculum.
What are some of the things that make this new curriculum unique?
Oh, wow. Well, one of the things is, we hear a lot about AI, and so these curricula come AI powered, meaning they have an AI tutor embedded within their platform. They are online, so we have the option of purchasing hard copies, paper if we like, but within their online platform, there are a lot of things that are embedded there, such as assessments. And so our teachers don't have to spend a lot of time searching for, curating their own resources, which that's a big deal because publishers, they have the money, they have the researchers, they have mathematics education and mathematics professors who are coming together to curate all of those evidence-based practices and put them together as a neatly wrapped package, like a one-stop shop. So it makes math teaching easier for our teachers, and they don't have to rely just on their own understanding. They've got the power of all of those people who are doing that on behalf of that publishing company.
Does that also give you some continuity when you have one system that's being used grades 6 through 12 and one kind of evaluation rubrics and that for the teachers and also for the students to get used to?
So it does give us a lot of continuity and consistency because we know that our teachers have the same resource in terms of what is undergirding their teaching and their assessment, because the assessments come pre-made. So our teachers not only have to, they don't have to take the time to find good, high-quality, evidence-based resources, but they also have the assessments that go along with them. And that's important because math teachers, no teacher goes to school to become an assessment creator. That's a whole skill and level of experience in and of itself. And so our teachers can do what they're trained to do, which is teach.
So Josh, you have had the chance to look at these. You've been finishing the pilot with one of them. You're looking at the new thing. What are you seeing as a teacher that will be using these in the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, unique difference with these platforms comes with its own pros and cons. I can say as the math department head at the high school, I'm able to try to take in all those pros and all those cons and then be able to kind of orchestrate which one seems to be the best fit, at least at the high school level, grades 9 to 12. I can say that with one curriculum, the Imagine Learning, is really great because it is adopted into an AI platform called EDIA, which is the ability to use AI in a math-specific field. So all of the question sets that I would get from that online curriculum, I can put into EDIA, I can assign to my students, and there's a built-in AI tutor, like Dr. Aglin was saying, that allows them the ability to ask some questions so that if I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to answer questions, that doesn't happen anymore because they can have EDIA help them with it. The other version, Amplified Desmos, is very much embedded within Desmos, which is a calculator that's used at the state level with respect to state testing, both for the ACT as well as for the graduation tests. And so the connection there is that a lot of teachers are already familiar with Desmos. They've built things in Desmos to be utilized for the classrooms. And so with that curriculum upcoming, we're very excited to see what it can do from a curriculum standpoint rather than just a technological tool. Another thing that's really cool, I would say, is that our math department has used an AI chatbot to be able to really orchestrate our feedback. So on a weekly basis, I get feedback from my math department saying, hey, what are the things that worked well? What are the things that did not work well? So that when we make our informed decision, we can take our opinions out of it, but we can still count those as anecdotal evidence.
So do you find that all of this, these embedded AI tools, that this is making the students more familiar and more comfortable with using AI as a tool?
I think that's a great question, maybe for our students back here, to be honest with you.
Well, let's ask some of the students. What do you guys think? How long have you been working with we'll start with you, Nate. How long have you been working with these new curriculums?
Well, EDIA, I would say specifically, we started earlier this year, so it would be a few months now. 2 or 3 months per se. I like EDI a lot because, like Mr. A said, he doesn't really have to come to us a lot. And when we have questions, when we get something wrong or we're confused about something, EDI explains what we did, and it usually gives us like a similar process that we would do compared to our other classmates. So we can look at EDIA and go to our classmates and say like, and compare and contrast, like, what would you do? What did you do wrong? What did I do wrong? Like, so I like EDIA a lot.
Nice. How about you, Angela?
With EDIA, I've also been using it since the beginning of this year. I like EDIA because you can ask like many different questions when you get the answer wrong, like, where did I go wrong? Or why is it relevant that this information? Really no.
Do you think that having that AI tool available makes it easier for you to learn what went wrong and apply that the next time you do the problem?
Yeah, it explains, like, you can either get a full-length description or you can ask for like simplified, broken down descriptions. So usually what I do, I like broken down descriptions because I don't like reading when it comes to math. I'm not like a big reader. When I understand word problems or like just problems in general, I like looking at the math of it. And so it can do that for you. It can explain like exactly how to do it going through the math steps.
And I think something important to mention here is that through AI and AI tutors or chatbots, and EDIA in particular, it allows for personalized learning. And that's the age that we're also in, right? So it means that Josh and all of our math teachers no longer have the overwhelming responsibility of thinking, I've got to get to every kid, or every kid has a question or a potential question, and how can I address their question? And so what it allows for is for students to exercise agency. They can ask their own question. It also means that no student has to sit idle waiting for a teacher to get to them and get some help. So they can ask a peer, they can ask an online chat-based tutor that we also have access to through another platform, or they can ask their AI tutor in EDIA. Years ago, we would say, oh, you need to do 2 through 20, the evens, but then because you knew the odds, the answers were in the back of the book. But if you did an odd problem and you got the answer, you could check it, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the new version of that.
I think even taking it a step further, we do more than just use the AI curriculum. We're teaching our students to be able to be the AI prompters too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of districts and a lot of places, they're just learning how to use the AI, but part of what we're trying to integrate within our system is helping our students understand how that AI was developed in the first place. So we help them with how you prompt, how you can use something like Gemini that is a secure tool for our district because we're a G Suite district to be able to then take AI and say, okay, well, I might be able to use it in EDIA for this specific math class, but how can I use AI to be able to enhance my own personal interests? And so that's part of what we're trying to adopt into our just methods as well in the math department, is helping our students understand what the world is going to look like and is starting to look like now, given that artificial intelligence is taking over a lot of businesses, replacing a lot of jobs, but it's also creating a lot of jobs. You need people to be able to train the systems and understand the systems to be able to perform in the way that we want them to perform. And that's really, in my opinion, as the math teacher, the end goal. Like, these platforms are great because it makes my job a lot more efficient, being able to meet students where they're at. But with that extra time, I'm using it to then teach them why AI is so beneficial and how they can use it to benefit themselves.
So let me ask you as students then, now that we know AI is so useful for you just with the math curriculum, does it make you feel more confident knowing how to use AI for other projects?
I found myself using it in AP Government a lot when we had projects like we had to create our own website and political party. And I definitely struggled a lot because I'm not that creative with politics. And so I used it a lot to help me find different things, how to format my website, and just in general, like basic knowledge.
I really like that we're learning how to use AI because I know once I get to college, I'll have to teach myself a lot of things because you're not getting a lot of one-on-one time with your professor. So teaching my AI how to teach me and help me learn more about the problems that I need to do, I just feel like it's a really good skill, and I'm glad that Mr. A's been teaching us, using his extra time to teach us that. So
We could tell students don't use AI, but we'd be handicapping them with not knowing how to use the tool.
I mean, I actually really like, Nate, how you phrased it too, because Nate didn't say, I'm using AI to teach me something. He said, I'm using AI to help me learn something new. I'm teaching the AI prompter to be able to teach me what I need to know. So it's not just give me the answer, it's how do you help me be a better person and better at what I'm doing.
There is something called learning how to learn. And so as things change, technology evolves, how we learn also has to evolve along with that. So, the calculator thing is very relevant to me. When I started my career teaching in 1994, we didn't use calculators. But by 1997, it didn't take long, graphing calculators were exploding. And it was, you use it or you don't use it. And so I took that stance that this is a tool. I need to teach my students how to use this tool. And I had to refine my teaching, meaning I couldn't teach it the same way, teach math the same way as if we had no calculator. To me, my teaching had to be different if I was going to use that tool. And you're right, I see AI the same way. We have to teach differently if we're going to teach students how to use the tool, because if we want them to be responsible for their own learning, we want them to self-regulate, we want them to demonstrate agency, then we have to teach them how to use a tool. And similarly, an analogy for our house, if you've got a leaky faucet, you're not going to use a hammer to fix a leaky faucet. But you do need to know how to use the pipe wrench in order to fix the leaky faucet. So you got to pick the tool, the right one, and you have to know how to use it. And the same thing is true in math. We've got to know what tool to use and know how to use it correctly.
Let me ask, so as parents are hearing new curriculum, and when parents hear math curriculum, they think, oh no, is this going to look different when my 6th grader comes home or my 7th grader comes home? And what are they going to see that looks different from their perspective?
I think that from their perspective, given that I have children of my own at home who are going through math, and some of them have teachers who are early adopters of these types of things as well. I can say that in essence, math is beautiful because it is a language. It doesn't change. The language of math is always going to be the language of math. But in languages, often there's different dialects that you learn. And in this case, for me, it's a different dialect. Like, it's the same math that everyone has always learned. It's just about adapting it to your surroundings, adapting it to a great kind of analogy I have is I'm a big traveler. And when I travel a lot, I end up coming back speaking English a little bit differently, simply because when I spoke it in that other area, if I didn't speak the language of the country, I would speak it slower. I would be enunciate my words. And so I'd have to try to code switch back into just speaking normally when I got back to the United States. In math, it's the same way. I need to be able to teach it and to help parents understand it a little bit differently. So yes, are we using AI? Yeah, are a lot of people afraid of it? Of course, 100%. But that's why I think that over-communicating things and helping the students really understand where things are coming from is great, because really the end-all be-all is we want our kids to be able to help their parents and to help society in general. Like, we're training them to be prepared for the workforce, to be prepared to just be contributing members of society. And math does not need to be something where you get it or you don't get it. It can be something that everyone can benefit from, and that's what we're trying to do for our kids.
Do you find in a curriculum like this, with the resource of the AI tutor, equalizes a little bit? Kids from different homes that may or may not have someone in the house that already is great at math and can help them?
Absolutely. It creates equity,
Yeah.
because having access to a tutor, which is usually a paid service, I may not have the money to pay someone for tutoring. Now, we do offer after-school tutoring at all of our grade levels, and our teachers sign up for that, to do that work to help students, but there's still an equity issue if I'm a student who relies on bus transportation and I can't stay after school. Well, then what do I do if I don't have access through my home resources, So we try to find ways to level the playing field for all of our students, whether it's through in-person help or whether it's through online help. And so all of our resources have access to one or the other for students. But I would like to piggyback off of what Josh said. Josh used an analogy about going to another country and how math is a language, but he also knows that there's different dialects. And my analogy is similar in that I realized in traveling to Puerto Rico that all of the signs, although it's a U.S. territory, all of the signs are in Spanish. And I thought to myself after a few days and asking my sister-in-law to translate everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I just knew Spanish, this would be so much easier and I'd have much more fun. And, my experience would just be more meaningful. And so, like Josh, I believe that mathematics is everywhere. Math undergirds our society. And yes, you may be able to get through and be totally unaware of how math is around you, but I think your experience would be that much more meaningful and richer if you had that foundational knowledge, if you could engage with math in that way and understand how it plays a part in our everyday life, because it absolutely does. And a lot of people think that it's only if you go to college or only if you are a STEM major, and that's certainly not true. You can be in a carpentry or HVAC or electrician apprenticeship, and you still need math. As a matter of fact, I work on a committee through Hamilton County ESC, our Business Advisory Council, and through that committee, one of the things that we're working on, two things actually, is math as well as AI, and how we can help our students build them and train them, their skills, so that they can then go into the workforce and do or complete tasks that our business partners want them to be able to do or complete, right? Through these apprenticeships and workforce learning. And what we have found, the feedback that we've got from our workforce partners, is that our students aren't prepared for these internships or apprenticeships because they don't have the mathematical foundational knowledge.
So since you're seniors, you got to experience some of the previous curriculums, and you got to be students under one curriculum and then change to a new curriculum. What was it like to change curriculums?
Well, we've been doing project-based learning for a long time, but I'll say going from strictly learning from our teachers to incorporating AI, I'll say it's kind of similar, but I feel like the difference is we just have a lot less questions for our teachers, pretty much.
Yeah.
I came to the district much later than most students. I came, I think, my 8th grade year, and coming to Winton Woods from a private school, which was very cookie cutter learning, if you knew it, you knew it. If you didn't, you didn't. It was much more eye-opening, and even though I excelled at math at my private school, I started struggling 6th and 7th grade just because you got to harder concepts and they taught it only one way, and if you had a different way of learning it, you couldn't use it. They would deem it as wrong. As opposed to Winton Woods, if you found the solution and it made best sense to you, you were allowed to use that solution as long as you were able to explain it. And using AI, I'm able to actually explain my solutions and explain my answers better.
What do each of you plan to do for college or for career after high school?
My end goal, I want to be a dentist, so I plan on, I'm going to Toledo. I'll play football there. I'm going to major in biology, and soon after I'll go to dental school and eventually become a dentist.
Excellent. How about you?
My end goal, I want to be a dermatologist, and right now I'm looking at a lot of out-of-state colleges for a biology program, like University of Chicago and South Carolina, and ultimately I plan on applying for med school and hopefully passing.
Now, there's some things the district is doing to make sure that everyone in the whole community, students or not, is a little bit more aware that math is just an important thing we all need to focus on.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So as a part of our math curriculum adoption, I've taken it upon myself to try to galvanize our district as well as our community and the greater Cincinnati community by screening the movie Count It Out. That movie is a documentary and it's only available by a private screening. And so that screening will be Thursday, October 30th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Winton Woods High School Auditorium. And so that movie does get into a lot of what is going on in our world today, how math undergirds our society, why it is important to know math, how math is actually a civil and fundamental right, just as much as the right to read and literacy, and how the stigma of not being a math person actually impacts and really hurts us because we accept that as a label for ourselves, and it limits our learning and it limits our exposure. And at a certain point, we do and are responsible for our own learning. But it also limits us in our ability to engage as citizens in society, to understand how, for example, gerrymandering happens and how that impacts our ability or our right to vote, right? So that's one of the examples that they use in the movie. But also social media, the algorithms, the spread of the COVID virus. So all of those things, we've dealt with as a society, but there are all basic fundamental math learning that everyone needs to have and have an understanding of. Even when you have an illness, what does that mean for your body and what you're eating, drinking, medicine, etc. I mean, I could go on and on, but that movie, I said, this is it. This movie here would help people to understand why math is so important, because having that conversation sometimes it can be a lot. There are people who don't like it. you know, and we are all emotionally attached, unlike reading, but somehow we're all emotionally attached to our mathematical experiences and how hard it was or how painful it was or the experience of a certain teacher. You wouldn't believe how many adults have taken that into their adulthood.
This movie that we're screening at Winton Woods,
Yes.
this is not just for the students.
No,
This is not just for the parents.
no.
It's absolutely anyone in the entire community. You don't
And
have
it's
to
free.
And that was my next question. So there's no fee to come to see this
No
screening.
fee. It is absolutely free.
This is not something that they can watch. They can find the trailer online, but they're not going to find this online.
Correct.
So
It is not on Netflix.
we need to tell everyone to mark your calendar and put it in your phone and make sure that you're going to the Counted Out screening.
I started teaching in 1994, and in 94, there's no way I would have known that now, 31 years later, that AI even exists. But in 1994 and all those years leading up to now, I've always seen myself as trying to prepare students for careers that exist now, but ultimately careers that don't exist yet. And that's where we are right now. Is I'm just thinking about how AI is going to revolutionize the next 10 years. And through our math curriculum and our project-based learning, you know, we're teaching students how to problem solve, how to think, how to make sense of the world around them so that they can be prepared for the careers of today as well as tomorrow.
Josh, what else would you like people to know about this program or about the Counted Out screening?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that our entire district is building up to just being this innovative district around math and science in STEM fields in general. We also have some promptathons that we're doing. They're called AI promptathons. One is happening on October 21st at the high school. So we have 11 different business partners from the community who are coming in, working alongside our students. AJ is actually one of them, which is awesome. And they're going to be able to teach the adults how to prompt, how to use AI to their advantage to solve problems that are currently existing in real time in their businesses. We ran a trial of it in the springtime, and there were two really amazing chatbots that were created. For one business, for Siemens Industries, they created a chatbot to help with recruitment strategies, the students did. And in another business, which was SHP Architecture, they developed a chatbot to help the communication between different teams working across various locations in the city because there was no really common way for them to communicate. So it's being able to help our students also give back to the community, which is what we're about in Winton Woods too, be able to make us all better using this knowledge. And so I'd like to think that this is really kind of a kickoff event to more things to come rather than a one-time thing. And there was a lot to come around AI.
Well, I want to thank you again for being here in the studio. It was so helpful to get to hear from everyone about how the math curriculum is being implemented, about the new tools, especially AI, that you're learning how to use. But also thank you for watching, because that means you are staying connected to what's happening in the Winton Woods City School District, especially things like the Counted Out screening. Did I mention the Counted Out screening? I really want you to put that on. Stop right now and write that on your calendar. Put it in your phone. You can also find more information about that screening on the Winton Woods website, which is wintonwoods.org/countedout. Make sure you stay tuned into their social media because you will see these reminders showing up. So if you click follow on the Facebook page, you won't have to remember to keep going back to look. It'll magically show up in your feed. You know you're scrolling anyway, so make sure you put these happy things in your Facebook feed. It'll make your day better. But also it'll keep you informed about what's going on with the school district. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.